welcome to my channel. Today I will be reviewing an African violet called Allegro Aspenglow. It was hybridized by Janet Stromborg and it is part of her Allegro series. I received this plant at my local African Violet Club, Thousand Oaks African Violet Society, during my first club meeting in February of this year. And I'm very excited about how this African violet has progressed since then. Allegro Aspenglow was registered with the African Violet Society of America in 2008 under the registration number 9996. It is a smaller growing standard with dark green, heart-shaped symmetrical foliage. The leaves are rather very kind of like large in comparison to, for example, her other variety, Allegro Moon Memories. So these heart-shaped dark green leaves with scalloped red back. Here you can see the red backs on the leaves. And it shapes itself into a compact symmetrical rosette which does not require any additional grooming, and it's a very easy grower. The crown is topped with single or semi-double coral pink ruffled star blossoms, which are super pretty. Here they are up close. They're ruffled and they have darker eye. Here they are up close, so you can see the darker color at the center. They also have purple fantasy and variable darker rays, which makes the color of the flowers very special. Here they are with the darker purple rays, and a purple fantasy and the darker rays. Here the rays are kind of like dark pink and the fantasy is purple. I adore this variety. It's very special. You see it here in its first bloom cycle. It is still forming more bloom stems, so I can't see if it's full bloom cycle or maybe just the beginning of the first true bloom cycle. It does not have too many blooms, but the blooms are larger in size and they're so pretty that you really don't need that huge head of flowers or blooms to enjoy it. You enjoy it the way it is because it's just so special. The diameter of the flower is about 1.5 inches, occasionally going up to maybe 2 inches. So here's 1.5 inches regular bloom, and as they increase in size and as the blooms grow older. So this one is 2 inches. This is an older bloom and this is a younger bloom here. And in comparison to a dime coin, which I almost lost, it's right here. Yeah, here it is. So here's a smaller one. You can compare it. And here is a larger one. Yeah, so they're large, not too large blooms, but they're decent sized blooms, I would say. It receives the same care, the regular care that I have for my other violets, up to 12 hours of daylight. That is, in my case, a combination of daylight, natural daylight, and the LED lights at 65K that I use in my plant stand over there. You can see that it has lights in it and it's facing the western window. That doesn't give me too much light because of the building that faces my unit. So I keep it on a wick watering system just like all of my other violets, and I use constantly use some very small dose of Miracle Grow Bloom Booster fertilizer just to make a little extra food for them so they develop nicely. And I try to maintain the room temperature for them in the 70s and 80s in the early spring we had it 60s, the temperature at the 60s, and they were still happy. But now that it's getting into 80s and 90s, I have to become creative and use some AC, some of the cool mist humidifier, the fan. So all sorts of things going on here, keeping us very busy. I really like this variety, and I wanted to show you also the sparkles that it has. It's the name really speaks for itself. It's called Allegro Aspenglow, and it is really glowing. The blooms are really glowing. They're sparkly, they're very pretty, they have fantasy in them, they're frilled. It's like, what else can we wish for? It's really a beautiful African violet plant. And finally, I just washed it, so I wanted to show you another thing that, some people who grow violets, they're afraid to put moisture on the leaves, or drops of water. They think it's going to damage their plants. So there's this myth going on that, don't ever put water on the African violet leaves. That is not the case here, because you can wash them, and actually you make your plant happy if you wash off the dust that inevitably accumulates on the leaves as they stand, even though you keep your place clean. But the dust is always in the air, the microscopic particles that also, they land everywhere on surfaces, including the surfaces of leaves. And so it's actually very helpful if you give them a little rinse with the room temperature water. And I use like a little a sprinkling bottle that I have to wash the dust off. And as long as you don't expose it to the daylight immediately after, they'll be happy. So the trick to know here is that you need to, once you washed your African violet, you need to let it dry in a shade without exposing it to the daylight, and it's going to be a happy camper after that. So that's all I wanted to talk about today, and wanted to really share with you this beauty. It's just I can't take my eyes off of it. It's really pretty. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for my future African violet reviews.